Hello, everybody. Welcome along. Cricket Badger podcast time. Many of you have been tweeting and watching Freddie Flintoff's Field of Dreams. And, well, I've been enjoying it as well. We're two episodes into the 3 series. The last one's tonight. So if you've missed out, catch up on the BBC iPlayer. And the man I'm about to bring on the screen here, Kyle HOGG, has been the coach, Freddie's coach on Field of Dreams. Hoggy, how much have you been enjoying that?
Yeah, I mean, it's been really good watching it back, I guess. You know, we sort of did it over 11 months, probably started this time last year. You know, we played some games of cricket in January, which were interesting, especially for lads who have never played before. Yeah, and I think it's just come together really well. You know, I guess even if you're not into cricket, I think it shows, you know, the true value of just doing something different. I guess getting yourself out of your comfort zone, but also doing something with, you know, friends and colleagues and getting that, I guess, you know, the pleasure that, you know, we find from cricket, you know, being with your teammates, getting stuck in and hopefully improving as cricketers and people.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because people like me and you who love cricket and have been working or playing cricket for most of our lives, it's hard to understand that some people don't even know it's there and don't even kind of, recognize it as being of any interest whatsoever. And the early part of the first episode, Freddie going down to that part of Preston to basically say, have you ever heard of cricket? No. Have you ever heard of the 100? No. Do you know who Andrew Flintoff is? No. They had no idea, did they?
No, and that was, you know, it was quite interesting that I think, you know, people probably realise Freddie now off someone off TV, not someone who, you know, played cricket. But I think that's just, you know, the society we live in. You know, it's as it's come across in this programme, you know, if you're not lucky enough to go to schools where you play cricket, or I guess if you have parents who don't take you down to a local cricket club, you sort of, it's not a game you come across, is it really? It's not really on channels 1 to 4, so unless you're paying your Sky membership, you only see cricket when it's on TV, which is, you know, is a bit of a frustrating thing.
Yeah, were you a state school kid?
Yeah. So I went to, you know, just normal high school. You know, our school was massive rugby league and football. I was just lucky that, you know, we played cricket because me and my group of friends, we all played cricket. Otherwise, you know, we wouldn't have played cricket at our school. I think a lot of it's down to luck with your PE teachers as well. You know, if your PE teacher's into cricket, you play. If not, you know, they don't tend to play, unfortunately. So hopefully it's opened a few eyes of, you know, the joy that, you know, it brings to people.
Yeah, I was very lucky. My PE teacher gave up nights, gave up weekends, and we played all the time. But that's not the case across most of the UK, unfortunately, is it? I mean, you were fortunate in many ways that you come from a cricketing family as well. So cricket's in your blood to some extent, isn't it?
Yeah. No, I was lucky. You know, cricket's always been in my family, as all other sports are as well. You know, even though I spent my life at the cricket club, it wasn't necessarily just playing cricket. You know, I was always kicking a football around, you know, kicking a rugby ball around. So, you know, I count myself, you know, very lucky just to, I guess, have the opportunity to, you know, do something like that from a young age, where, as you've seen in the programme, the lads who don't necessarily have that, you know, life can be a bit different for them.
Just for people that don't know, your dad was Willie, played first class cricket, wasn't he? And your granddad, now he was a name, wasn't he? Tell us your granddad's name.
Yeah, so, you know, my granddad, Sonny Ramadan, he played for the West Indies. He came over in the 50s with the West Indies to play against England. You know, part of a pretty some famous cricketers from that West Indies era. Ended up staying over here. Obviously met my grandma, you know, played club cricket as well, which, you know, in those days, club cricket was, you probably got more people watching than some test matches. So, you know, I was really lucky that cricket and sport in general has always just been in the household.
You kind of hinted at it there. One of the really interesting things, or one of the charming things about the program for me, is that the youngsters, we get a bit of their backstory. And there's the little blonde lads. I mean, obviously we haven't seen the third episode yet, but the little blonde lad who's got kind of behavioural issues, but he's obviously a bright lad and got a lot about him. You've got the young Afghan lads who's come across, who is a real talent. I mean, you could see straight away that he could play the game. There's some very interesting little stories there of, you know, where they're coming from, and it's all about how, not necessarily cricket, but how having something to focus on and something to get yourself in a group and get yourself away from your problems to a degree can help you.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's like you say, it's not necessarily just about cricket. You know, if it's joining your local football team or, you know, anything, it's just getting off that path of, you know, being with your friends on the park, getting into trouble, you know, sort of young kids, everyone's got a point to prove, and before you know it, that's how, you know, realistically, that's how they end up, you know, in prison and sort of, you know, just making wrong choices. Whereas, you know, if they do sort of, you know, go on from school, get the football boots on, or, you know, get your cricket bag, go down to the club, you sort of miss all that stuff where it could potentially, you know, bad news moving forward. So, you know, they've all got great stories behind them. So, like you said, some have got behavioural issues, some have just had, you know, the wrong end of the stick. You know, you don't realise, I guess, how lucky you are if you've got, you know, two parents who can, you know, do things for you when you want to. You know, some lads are sort of fending for themselves, which, you know, when you're 16, 17 years of age and you're on your own, it's, you know, life's very, very tough.
The young Afghani kid, Avnans, wasn't it? I think his name.
Adnan, yeah.
He's a proper cricketer, isn't he? You could tell. I mean, Freddie was watching him from the nets, and he played his first shot, and he just turned around and says, "Yeah, he can play." You could just tell straight away. He just knew which end the bat was supposed to face, and he could bowl as well. You know, sometimes it's about opportunity, isn't it? And getting, some people are interested in cricket, don't know how to actually develop that. He's obviously one of those. Some people don't know cricket exists, but can benefit from it.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Adnan. Well, you look at a lot of, you know, players who come from the subcontinent, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Afghanistan. You know, they've probably not had much coaching at all. They've sort of learnt the game just by playing in, you know, wherever they play. You know, speaking to Adnan, he played with like a piece of wood and like a ball that was rolled up, he was saying, and he just played down the side of his house, and, you know, he's got used to hitting a ball with a piece of wood. And, you know, it's amazing really when you think of, I guess, what ours as English kids, you know, what they get given with coaching wise. Sometimes, you know, these lads are streets ahead of our kids just from, you know, figuring it out themselves. But like you say, they need the opportunity first. There must be so many kids out there who are just amazing talents, but unfortunately they just don't get the chance to show it.
I often think that, you know, when watching Wimbledon last week, you're thinking there's probably somebody walking around Bolton, for example, who's would be a star tennis player, but has never ever held a tennis racket. There could be the next Don Bradman walking around Bury St Edmunds, and he doesn't know because he's never played cricket. It's just about getting those people in and just getting them to have that opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, and, you know, it's not that easy, is it? You know, if your group of friends, no one plays cricket, and you say, "Oh, by the way, I'm not coming hanging around with you, I'm going to a local cricket club," you know, that's not an easy thing to say, is it? As a young boy or girl. So it's, I think the way they can do it really is, you know, got to get it in all schools. You know, that's a really important part. You shouldn't just play cricket because you go to a posh private school. You should be playing cricket just at any school and any form of education, or given the opportunity. You know, not everyone wants to play cricket, but there will be some out there who, you know, if they have a game, as you've seen in the programme, they actually enjoy it.
And it's like you say, it's not everybody's going to be turned on by cricket. Not everybody's going to be like us, but it's about having that as a choice, isn't it? You know, when you've got like 5 things in front of you, football, cricket, whatever, having cricket actually there, so they can actually have it as an option rather than it not being there at all.
Yeah, and I think that's what the programme's sort of shown, is give kids the opportunity to do anything. You know, they'll really enjoy it. You know, put them in a situation where they can feel that feeling of doing something good, and you know, the peers sort of, you know, appreciating that. You know, it's a great feeling to have, and, you know, and that builds confidence, and hopefully, you know, when they move forward in life, you know, the learning skills that they haven't necessarily had before.
I did a bit of coaching years ago for under 11s, and the thing I always found hard was the problematic kids. It's easy to coach somebody that's there and he's good and wants to play. It's the ones that are running around not listening to you and causing trouble and maybe upsetting the class, if that's the right phrase. There was plenty of that going on when you first got that group together. How do you deal with that? Was that an issue?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy, is it? It's not easy. But you've got to remember that sort of where they're coming from, the kids, and what they're they're not cricket kids, are they? So they're coming because they're giving something new a try. It's pointless getting angry or upset with them, because that's a lot of them, that's all they've ever experienced. It's about showing them that you care and you're interested and you're there to help them. And it's amazing that once you start showing a bit of compassion to them, you sort of saw them come out of the shells.
There's the little lad with his hat and his earbuds in, and Freddie let him keep his earbuds in, which I thought was quite a nice little touch, because
yeah, and that's the main thing. Everyone's different, and if, like Freddie mentioned, if it means he's going to turn up every week and get stuck in, then do whatever he wants. That's the main thing. As long as he feels he's in a comfortable environment and he can have a go, then we're all there to support him.
Not everybody's got Freddie Flintoff and a BBC camera crew and everything else behind them, but this is something that, just watching it, is possible whatever town, village, whatever you live in, isn't it? You can just rock up and try and get people interested in a sport which they've not touched before. You don't necessarily have to have the BBC's money behind you.
No, and obviously, I mean, Freddie put some of his own money into it himself. It wasn't just a BBC documentary, and he did it because he genuinely cares and he genuinely wants to see people given an opportunity that he was lucky enough to have. But I think all clubs around the country, not necessarily not just cricket, all sports, if you can get some people down there just showing kids how good each game is and what comes of it, and also it's important to show them that when things are, you're not always going to do well, so it's good to learn some other skills that when things don't go right, what sort of mechanisms can you use to sort of get you through it and hopefully make an improvement the next time you have a go.
One of the things I always think, Kyle, is that it's not just about being the next Andrew Flintoff, the next Kyle HOGG, playing professional cricket, playing for England. People like me, who my ceiling was always going to be club cricket, and I enjoyed it, loved it. Spent time with other people, probably people that I wouldn't have met in my normal working life, and that to me is the end goal. And club cricket is important, it isn't around country. Obviously, you're Lancashire, there's plenty of club cricket goes on there. I'm sitting in Yorkshire, there's more club cricket in Yorkshire than anywhere. But treating that as important and using that as the hotbed, and then occasionally you're going to get a Flintoff comes out of that and plays higher up.
Yeah, and that's the main part of club cricket. It's not necessarily about being the next Jimmy, Ben Stokes, whoever. It's more like I joined my local club when I was 6, and I'm 39 now, and I'm still friends with lads I met when I was 6 years old. And that is the main thing about it. It's like you play cricket, you want to win, you want to do well, but more importantly, I met a great group of friends who I'm still friends with to this day, and that's where I think all sport and all club sport is just so important. It shows you different, it just shows you different sides to life that you would never have experienced.
And we've seen that in the programme. As I say, we haven't seen episode 3 yet. That's this evening, but so no spoilers. But you can see from the kids who basically, it's boring, it's slow, I'm not interested. You could see the gradual development, as you say, it comes quickly on the program, but over 11 months in reality. But you could see them getting their heads around it, starting to actually back each other as in a team, starting to actually become mates with each other and forming those relationships within that side, and then actually starting to smile. And then they got that win, didn't they? And they're off and they're away.
Yeah, and at the beginning, there was probably 3 or 4 different groups of boys. They wouldn't even speak to each other. They'd probably never even speak to each other outside of that cricket setting. And just by, turning up and sort of enjoying it, before you knew it, everyone was mingling in together. Everyone was asking each other about what they've been up to. And, them are the things that, a team sport does. It brings people together. and they probably didn't realise at the time, but you know, they hopefully made friends for life.
They've gone a long way from sitting on that wall googling Freddie and saying, "Oh, his wife's nice." He's done well for himself. He's driving a Ferrari. Gone a long way from that to actually playing and really getting something from the game. And that's ultimately what it's all about. You know, it's a pastime. It's something to spend your social hours in. And if you're not enjoying it, you're not doing the right thing, are you?
No, and that's the thing. That's the best bit about cricket. It's not necessarily how you've done on a Saturday. Sometimes I used to really enjoy, you know, you're going back to the club after the game and you're chatting to the other teams, like the second team or the third team, or you know, the under-16s, how they've got on, you know, who did well. You know, you're chatting to, you know, you sat down at the table, you know, chatting to people who've been playing 40, 50 years, listening to their stories, and you know, that's the whole thing about joining a club and joining a team. It's sharing experiences, and you know, like a lot of these kids now, they're getting to an age where 16, 18, so they're either going to have to make decisions on education or they're going to have to go into the real world of working. Hopefully, you know, they've built some confidence, and you know, they moving forward into, you know, into work, they've built some skills that are going to help them succeed. That's the main thing about it.
There's the young lad, 18, I think. He just got himself his new flat, and I think in episode 2, Freddie goes to see him because he hadn't attended a couple of the training sessions. But yeah, he's a good example, isn't he, of somebody that's actually quite isolated, you know, off the streets, basically gets himself somewhere to live, but hasn't got a circle of friends, and all of a sudden he's in a cricket team where basically potentially everybody's a solid good mate.
Yeah, I mean, that, you know, it's sad seeing Ben like that. You know, I think back to when I was 16, if someone had said, right, there's your flat, go and live on your own, I just probably wouldn't have lasted half a day. And to think that, you know, he was living rough and going to school at the same time, and then all of a sudden you're living on your own and you don't have a job, and, you know, I can't even begin to imagine how hard that must be. But what we did see with Ben, you know, he kept turning up and he was enjoying it. And, you know, when we were winning the games, when we were losing, he was always like front and centre of the team. And that was just, you know, it was really heartwarming to see, you know, what cricket had brought to him, really. So, you know, if he hadn't have ever got involved in this, you know, you don't even want to think about, you know, what he'd be doing day in, day out, or what he's getting up to.
When Freddie picked up the phone, Kyle, do you fancy being part of this? Was it an easy yes?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we saw. I think obviously Freddie had an idea of how it was going to go, but I think when you do something over a long period of time, you sort of guess, just see how it goes, and you know, as soon as he said what he was doing, you know, you do it every day of the week. And you know, it's, you know, I've come from Oldham myself, so similar area to Preston. You know, I know what, you know, some of the areas are like around there. So I think, you know, I just jumped at the chance, really. You know, just the chance to work with other kids and other players, and hopefully pass on some things that I've learned over my career onto lads moving forward in their lives, not necessarily just cricket.
Do you get recognised in Tesco's now?
No, not really. No. To be fair, I mean, the odd person has sort of mentioned it. I think you forget like how many people must watch BBC One, or that, you know, at 8 o'clock it is. I guess you turn on the TV and it's the first thing that's on, isn't it? So yeah, luckily I'm still fine, not like Freddie.
I mean, it's primetime TV, that, and as you say, it's on one of the terrestrial stations, and you know, you'll get the cricket fans. I mean, I've seen on my Twitter feed plenty of people talking about it and discussing it. You'll have seen the same thing, I'm sure, and you'll also get the people that are not interested in cricket, and it sticks it under their nose. And it can only be good for the sport, surely, to actually have cricket on primetime television.
Yeah, and I think just all sports in general. You know, if you had every sport going and you just switched on BBC 1, 2, you know, 3 or 4, and you could watch sport, you would just get so many more kids engaged and wanting to do it. You know, if you think some of these kids who are coming from tougher backgrounds, they might not have Sky Sports, you know, so they might never get the chance to see a 100 match, or, you know, England playing as well as they have in the test matches recently. You know, if young kids are watching, you know, Johnny Bairstow's innings of the last few weeks and Joe Root's, it's pretty guaranteed that they'd want to probably go and to a local cricket club and start emulating them. But you know, if they don't get the chance to see it, then they're never going to know the joy that cricket brings.
Everybody needs heroes. Everybody needs somebody to try and be like, don't they? And you get that from seeing them and then wanting to be them. I mean, mentioning the positivity, Stephen's been in touch, says, I've thoroughly enjoyed the programme. Freddie has shone with his empathy and understanding of these young lads. And Kyle has been the advisory role. For me, it has shown that cricket is not taught in schools along with other sports, to the detriment of all. Well done all, and a great watch. Plenty of messages like that coming in. There's from India saying the same thing. Yeah, you get picking up on a lot of positivity, I would imagine, Kyle, from people talking about this.
Yeah, and I guess with social media, you could make a series on knitting, and there's always be people, you know, slating it. But in general, I've not seen anything negative about this at all, which is pretty unheard of, really. You know, with anything to do with, I guess, a documentary. So yeah, you know, it has been really amazing. I think at the time when you're doing it, you're just part of a team. You're doing your cricket, you're going to Preston every week. But you know, when it's all come together and you get the chance to watch it, you realise, you know, how amazing it has been.
Kyle Hogg's Field of Knitting. There's the next one, Series 2. I mean, how do we, as a cricket, as a sport, take what we've learned from Freddie Flintoff's Field of Dreams and actually try and take the good bits from that and take it around the country so we get more kids involved in that? Because it's obvious from the programme that the kids have enjoyed it. They were completely against it. I'm not interested, to actually enjoying it and being there for their teammates. It's a really good little study, really, in how this can be done. So how do we get that around the country?
I mean, you'd hope that investment, you know, ECB, or it's just, you know, cricket is such an expensive sport. You look at, if you want back pads, gloves, bag, white, you know, boots, you're looking at probably $1,000, aren't you now? And there's not many kids I know who you know, say if you're a child of 2 or 3, you know, children, there's not many parents who've got $1,000 just lying around. They can just go and kit the kids out. So if it's not accessible, then they're just not going to get involved, are they? So you'd hope that somewhere, you know, make, you know, cricket equipment available, and you know, if they're not having to pay for it, then undoubtedly they'd get involved and give it a go.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it, how this could maybe develop. I mean, the ECB have obviously got all kinds of initiatives going on around the country, but there's got to be bits they can take from this so that they can, you know, get into those areas and get these kids, just even if it's just to come along once, isn't it? I mean, that's all we're asking, isn't it? For somebody to come along once, have a little bit of a go. If it's not for them, walk away. If it's for them, stay with it.
Yeah, you'd hope so. You'd hope that they'll do something. But unfortunately, you never know, do you? Yeah, I think you see a lot of these organisations, the ones who are doing the work, they don't understand the ins and outs of cricket. I think that can be an issue sometimes. Yeah, I mean, hopefully it's, you know, it's opened some eyes and it's got people talking about it and how people moving forward can make something better for their area, school, club, where they work and live. So, you know, that's all we can ask for.
I mean, you mentioned the cost of it, but the state school versus sort of public school, I never know which terms to use in that debate. I always think this isn't, when we're talking about elitism and privilege and stuff like that, it's not knocking private schools or public schools, whatever we call them, because they're doing a great job. They've got all the facilities. They're doing a great job. They're producing cricketers. They're treating cricket seriously. That's not a bad thing. That's not something to knock. It's trying to actually use that in state schools as well, trying to get some of that in state schools, even state schools using their facilities or something so that they can actually have some of that too.
Yeah, and I think that's just, you look at where we are in life at the moment. There's a pretty big divide between people at the top and people at the bottom, isn't there? So it's, you know, I guess with anything in life, if people come together and work together, you're going to get a better result. But unfortunately, that's not always the case, is it? So it's definitely one for people to think about, and hopefully some people with some power can make some correct decisions.
They've gone out on that first net when they were talking about Freddie's Ferrari and all the rest of it, and they were hitting the edges of the net, actually going over the net. They couldn't hit the ball. They've gone a long way from that through that 11 months to where they finished up with in terms of cricketing skill. And it's about, I think Freddie says at one stage, it's not about making them incredible. It's about making them passable so that they can play the game and not embarrass themselves.
Yeah, I mean, cricket's such a technical game as well. You know, it does take years really to sort of get up to a standard of where, you know, you're confident of going out playing in games and stuff. So, you know, it's not easy just for someone who's never played, batted or bowled, just to say go and hit the ball or go and bowl straight ball at the wickets. You know, it does take so much time, and when a lot of them are not massively confident people anyway, you know, if you fail at something at the beginning, that's where you've sort of got to nurture them and hopefully, you know, get the best out of them so they keep having a go and keep you know, trying hard.
I mean, Freddie, from like Stephen's comment, Freddie seems to have got this quite a nice way with kids. You're the same, you know, the way that you're kind of dealing with them and understanding them and trying to foster that interest whilst sort of kind of keeping them coming. That's not something everybody's got really. I mean, if the ECB are watching this and they say, oh, we need Kyle Hogg to front this up, we need this to go around the country. Is this something that you'd be interested in doing elsewhere, you know, other than Lancashire?
100%, and like you look at all these roles and everything around the country, you know, it's actually amazing how there's not something like this anyway. You know, someone actually getting cricket, you know, properly moving forward in, not necessarily in schools, just giving people an opportunity and showing them, you know, like I guess what we've shown over the first 2 episodes is showing that people will enjoy it and it'll make them better people, not necessarily cricketers.
And that's the thing. I think a lot of sort of outreach programs with cricket, they go into the school once, they kind of give them a plastic bat, they eat it around for an hour, and then they go back out again. But what that program's shown is if you actually make a little bit of an investment and you actually treat them as human beings and you talk about their lives as well as cricket, and it's a bit of more of an all-encompassing thing, you can actually have a real effect.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to be invested in it, and I think that's where, you know, Fred he wasn't doing it for TV. He was doing it because he genuinely wants to give people a chance that, you know, that he got. And, you know, you look at where he ended up, you know, if he hadn't have had that chance, he even mentioned on the show that, you know, he probably wouldn't be where he is today. So, you know, that's, it's about opportunity, isn't it?
He looks fitter now, Freddie, than he did when he played.
Yeah. I mean, he's been fit for a number of years now. I think he doesn't drink anymore. He trains hard. You know, he's, I guess, really busy with work. You know, I think the life is sort of in now. You have to look after yourself. You know, it's sort of, you know, if he's going down the wrong path and drinking a lot and stuff, that will affect his work now. So he's wanted, isn't he, by everyone, but there's a reason for that. You know, he's really good at what he does.
So, Kyle, the future for you then? I mean, is there going to be a second series of something like this? You know, anything about that?
I don't know. I mean, that's well above my station. There's no reason why there shouldn't be. You know, it'd be good to give girls and women the opportunity, I guess, that the boys have had. You know, I think the way the cricket's going now, it's all about, you know, everyone having a chance to have a go. So, you know, I think if they ever did it again, you know, I'd be there in a shot, definitely.
I thought that actually when Freddie first went down to that little kind of bit of field or whatever, they showing them how to play. There was lots of girls there. They said, the narrator says the kind of the difference between state schools and private schools in women's cricket isn't anywhere near as marked as it is in men's cricket. So that was the reason that it was just going to be a men's team. But it would be good to see some girls get involved and get whether it's Freddie or whether it's a Charlotte Edwards or somebody from the women's game to do the same kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, it's just somebody, isn't it? Anybody who's got a passion for the game, who wants to make a difference in people's lives. That's what it's about. You know, it would be great to see, you know, the girls and the women getting an opportunity from, you know, similar sort of areas and backgrounds where they would never even consider cricket. So it's, yeah, hopefully, you never know.
And where are you today? You got the sunshine blaring down behind you. It's a very hot day today in the UK, isn't it? What are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm. Funny enough, I'm going tonight. We're going to all watch episode 3 together. Everyone, the families and the kids, up in Preston.
Oh, nice as well. Freddie, you and everybody involved in it.
Everyone, yeah. Vernon's at the cricket club, so that'll be really good.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, pass on our congratulations to Freddie.
Yeah.
Because it obviously does come from the heart what he's been doing with this. It's not just a TV project that he just said yes to and he's doing just for the cash. He's obviously invested in this emotionally as well as time wise, and same with you as well. Congratulations on what you've done with those kids. I'll be watching it this evening too.
All right,
and all the best, Carl. Thanks ever so much for coming on the Cricket Badger podcast.
Cheers. All right, thanks. Bye-bye.
Cheers, Carl.
Bye.